It all started on what was supposed to be a peaceful Saturday morning. My wife and I had just moved into a quiet neighborhood, hoping to settle into a new chapter of life. My wife, a proud, wheelchair-bound veteran and retired Army colonel, has seen more than most people could imagine. But nothing could have prepared us for what we were about to face, not from war, but from a woman named Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA. She approached us like she owned the entire street, barking orders, pointing fingers, and criticizing everything from the way we parked to the type of plants on our porch. At first, we tried to stay calm, thinking maybe she was just having a bad day. But it quickly became clear this wasn't just a one-time thing. Karen had a habit of targeting people she thought were weak or different, and my wife, sitting quietly in her wheelchair, became her newest obsession. What Karen didn't know was that my wife isn't someone you push around. This wasn't just a petty neighborhood dispute. It was about respect, dignity, and standing up for what's right. But the moment Karen crossed the line and publicly humiliated her, things took a turn no one saw coming. Because this quiet woman in a chair, she was just getting started. We'd only been in the neighborhood for about 3 weeks when the first complaint slipped into our mailbox. No name, just an anonymous typed note about how our yard didn't meet community standards. Funny thing is, we hadn't even unpacked everything yet. My wife, despite her limited mobility, was already planning out the garden, measuring from her chair, sketching ideas. This house was supposed to be our peaceful retreat, but instead, it felt like we were under surveillance. Then came the morning Karen showed up uninvited. She walked straight up our driveway like she owned it, clipboard in hand, eyes darting between our porch, the car, and my wife. "This isn't a care facility," she snapped, glancing at the wheelchair. "People move here to avoid disruptions." That word, disruptions, stuck with me. My wife just smiled politely and said nothing, but I could see her jaw tighten. Karen clearly assumed my wife was just another quiet, harmless woman with no fight left in her. She didn't ask her name, didn't know about the years of service, the tours overseas, the leadership, the medals. To her, my wife was just an inconvenience. But what Karen didn't realize was that poking a sleeping lion, even a calm one, never ends well. And when she crossed that final line at the HOA meeting, everything started to unravel. The real trouble began at the first HOA meeting we attended. We hadn't planned on going, but after the rude visit from Karen, my wife insisted. "People like that count on you staying silent," she said. So we showed up, her in uniform, polished boots, medals pinned neatly across her chest. The room got quiet fast. Karen's smile froze when she saw her. But appearances didn't stop her. As the meeting went on, Karen found subtle ways to throw jabs. She complained about unauthorized modifications, clearly referring to the ramp we'd installed. Then she brought up visible medical equipment on the porch, like the wheelchair somehow violated the HOA's aesthetics. The others in the room shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Some even nodded. That was the worst part, watching neighbors we hadn't even met yet silently side with her. Behind the scenes, Karen ramped things up. Petty notices started arriving almost daily. One for the trash bin being out too long, another for improper vehicle placement. Our van, parked slightly over the line. She even suggested that we might be bringing down property values. It wasn't just targeting anymore, it was harassment. What Karen didn't know was that my wife had started documenting everything. Dates, times, photos. She wasn't just going to fight back, she was preparing a strategy. And trust me, she's handled far worse than an entitled HOA board. Every day, the tension grew thicker. Karen's petty complaints turned into open hostility, and it felt like the whole neighborhood was watching to see how we'd react. The subtle looks, whispered conversations, and sideways glances made it clear that this wasn't just about rules anymore, it was personal. My wife, who had faced danger and pressure on battlefields, now faced something equally exhausting in this supposed safe space. One afternoon, Karen showed up again, this time with a few others from the HOA. They stood outside, blocking our driveway, arguing that our van was illegally parked. My wife wheeled out to confront them, calm but firm. "This is my home," she said quietly, "and I have every right to be here." But Karen just sneered, making a sarcastic comment loud enough for others to hear. That moment felt like a breaking point, not just for us, but for the whole neighborhood. Then came the HOA's official letter, threatening fines and possible legal action if we didn't comply with their community standards within 10 days. The pressure was mounting fast, and it felt like we were being cornered. My wife's face, usually steady, showed a flicker of frustration and determination I hadn't seen before. She said, "They don't know who they're dealing with." What happened next changed everything, and it all started at the next HOA meeting. The next HOA meeting was supposed to be the final showdown, or so we thought. We arrived early, ready to face whatever Karen and her crew had planned. But as the meeting started, something unexpected happened. The chairperson called for a vote on whether to revoke our privileges in the community entirely, essentially forcing us out. The room buzzed with tension, and just when it seemed like the vote would go against us, a surprising voice broke the silence. One of the neighbors, someone we barely knew, stood up. She shared a story about how my wife had quietly helped her after a medical emergency a few weeks earlier, rushing to call for help and staying calm when others panicked. That moment shifted the mood. Suddenly, the story of the wheelchair-bound veteran wasn't just a headline. It was real, human, and impossible to ignore. Karen, however, wasn't done. She doubled down, accusing us of playing the veteran card to avoid the rules. The accusation stung, but it only fueled my wife's resolve. Then came the twist no one saw coming. An anonymous tip surfaced, revealing Karen's own questionable history with the HOA, including fines she'd avoided and rules she'd blatantly ignored. The room went silent. Now the stakes were higher than ever. This wasn't just about us anymore. It was about the truth behind the entitlement, the power plays, and who really controlled the neighborhood. And as the meeting ended abruptly, we knew this fight was far from over. The room was still thick with tension as the board scrambled to respond to the anonymous tip about Karen's own violations. Faces that had once nodded in agreement with her complaints now looked uncertain, even uncomfortable. My wife remained calm but steady, her eyes locked on Karen, who was now visibly shaken. The weight of her own actions was finally catching up to her. The chairperson called for a recess, giving everyone a moment to process. When the meeting resumed, the tone had shifted. The board announced they would be dropping all complaints against us and promised a full review of Karen's conduct. It felt like a victory, not just for us, but for fairness and respect in the community. As we gathered our things to leave, relief washed over me. After weeks of harassment and stress, we had stood our ground. But just as we thought the nightmare was over, my wife pulled me aside. She whispered, "There's one more thing I haven't told them, or you." Her phone buzzed with a message from a former military colleague, a reminder that Karen's interference wasn't random. It was connected to a larger issue, one that reached far beyond our quiet neighborhood. Suddenly, this wasn't just an HOA drama. It was part of something much bigger, something that would test us in ways we never imagined. The fight for our home was just the beginning. That message, the power of resilience and standing your ground, is what I want you to take away from this story. Sometimes, the biggest battles happen where you least expect them, even in your own neighborhood. But with patience, courage, and a little help from unexpected allies, even the toughest challenges can be overcome. Our story didn't just end with a victory over one difficult neighbor. It sparked change that rippled through the whole community, reminding us all why respect and kindness matter more than rules on paper. If you ever find yourself facing someone like Karen, remember this: don't back down, and don't let entitlement win. Because sometimes the quietest voices have the loudest strength. The fight for our home was just the beginning. After that meeting, things slowly started to change. The HOA board launched an official investigation into Karen's behavior and the violations she had tried to hide. It turned out she wasn't just acting out of entitlement, but trying to cover up her own pattern of ignoring community rules. The neighbors who had stayed silent began to speak up, apologizing for doubting us and thanking my wife for standing firm. The support we received reminded me that sometimes people just need a reason to do the right thing. My wife's courage and dignity in the face of harassment earned her more respect than any uniform or medal ever could. She showed everyone that strength isn't just about physical ability or rank, it's about standing up for yourself and others, even when the odds are against you. And while the fight with Karen brought us unexpected stress, it also brought us closer to a community that truly values respect and fairness.